Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Jeff's been a landlord for 21 years. Roughly how many units do you have, Jeff?
Just 4.
4 units. Should you raise rents or not? Jeff's got a tenant who's been in his place for a long time.
Almost 20 years. One that's about 20, one that combined is probably 13, 14 years.
It's very easy for a small landlord to not raise rent. It's easy to do it, to not do anything. We're often worried that they're going to leave. You know, you just don't want that confrontation. That's fine if they stay a year or 3 or 5 or something like that, because you can raise rents when they move out. But when they stay here a long time, and especially since COVID, real estate has been going up, therefore rents have been going up, our insurance rates have been going up, our taxes have been going up, all labor, materials, and that sort of thing have been going up as well.
Everything.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of tricky too. As a landlord, you do need to raise rents. Otherwise, you know, you're just losing money yourself. You're becoming a charity. And, you know, I like to separate my charity from my business. If you run your business like a charity, you won't have money to give to charities, right? And you mentioned, Jeff, that you're working towards retirement, and this is something you've been building for your retirement. And at the current rate, it's not even going to be profitable for you at retirement. When raising rents, I think one thing that's important to do is tell your tenants the why. And so let them know, hey, you've been here forever. You know it's well below market. What I do is look on Zillow, because it's a very objective place to go and say, you know, Zillow is saying this. And I think you said one of these guys or a couple of these guys are like half rates.
They're about half what they should be. Yeah.
Okay. I had one like that. I said, man, this is enough. And basically I raised his to about 75 or 80% of market. So it was still significantly below. I expected him to go, because usually when you raise it that much, it's just a shock.
In one lump sum?
Yeah. I needed to double his rent. I think I went up like 500, and he actually stayed, which surprised me.
Okay.
You need to tell the tenants why. You need to tell them, hey, it's significantly below market, and here's some objective measures such as Zillow. You need to tell them, hey, my costs have been increasing, insurance, tax assessments, materials, and expenses like that. And in your case, you mentioned this needs a roof.
It's going to need a roof, yeah.
And so that's a great, you know, excuse, if you will, or explanation of why. If you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel if you would hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll know when the next video is out. You said something great. You can either raise them or sell it. Tell us that story.
Well, they both know that someone came there knocking on the doors wanting to buy the building. I was a little shocked at the offer on the building. And then I was thinking, wow, I could put that with other investment and make more money without doing anything than what I'm making on that building at that amount. So I did explain to one of the two already. I either have to raise the rent or sell the building. If I sell the building, the rents are going to double. Whoever buys it is going to double the rent to market value. If I keep it and I go up to 70 or 80%, it could be sort of a win-win for both of us, but I can't stay where I am.
Love that.
Yeah.
And as you start doing that, you can then pay attention. You can fix the roof that's needed.
Yeah, I mean, then you do permanent fixes. You put a metal roof that you'll never have to replace again.
Yep.
Pay the extra money, permanent fix.
Sure.
Stuff I should have done earlier, but to be honest, because of my other income, I wasn't depending on the money. I wasn't thinking retirement one day, because this was 20 years ago. Now that I'm getting closer, I'm like, hey, this is, a serious amount of money every month that I don't have. That I really should. So I know when I raise the rents, there's always a possibility, even if I do it incrementally. And I don't plan to show up and say, okay, your rent's going to go up $400 next month. But even if I do it incrementally, there's a good chance that one or the other will leave.
You know, you could tell them you got to get to this, and you could do it every 3 months or every 6 months. You could have something incremental.
I was thinking every 6, because that's pretty simple. Yes. Twice a year.
Maybe $100 or maybe $200, depending on how much you're going.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I got you.
Don't have the exact numbers figured out, but I figured I would do something about every 6 months until I get where I need to be, and explain it up front. Yeah.
I think it's important for you to put that roof on after you start raising them, so they'll see that you actually did something.
Right.
And actually, in my case, I actually put new windows in this guy's house and kind of did a makeover of the outside. One tip related to this, when you could ask the tenants, what is one thing that you would like me to do repair-wise? Okay. Not like give me a laundry list, but like what's the one thing that I could do to your place to make the biggest difference? Okay. And then consider that.
That way you're seeing what they want more than just speculating.
Yeah.
Okay, good idea.
And it's also not an unlimited laundry list. Another consideration when raising rents is, consider yourself. Are you in a financial position to where you can go spend some money on the house? Or if you didn't get the rent, can you afford to pay it if you had to turn it around? Or can you afford the time of a turnover? Have you been in it in a while? What does it need? If they've been there for 10 years, you're going to be doing like completely repainting and probably a decent renovation. I've been in places in my life where I knew the rental agreements were coming up the annual term was coming up.
Yeah.
And I usually do raise rents, or at least I look at the rents, but I was at a place in my life where I didn't have enough time to fool with it, so I just let it roll. So I feel like you're probably in a place where you can afford the time and the money to do it, but that's a consideration. And then on a go-forward basis, ideally, what you want to do is run this more like a business. And so on your next renewal, you want to put in an escalation clause. It simply says right under the rental rate part in my contract, you just put that in your next one.
I already plagiarized that in the last one I did. So
Sounds good. But it says something like this. Here's the amount of the rent. Next sentence, your rent will not increase by more than X% annually on the anniversary.
Right.
And usually these days I'm putting like 4.99%. And I tell them, hey, I'm just promising to you that I'm not going to raise your rent 15% or something like that, like these big companies that are doing. The three things I want from you is to pay your rent on time, take care of the place, and stay a long time. The other thing I tell them is that this is like a partnership. When the end of your term gets here, I'm going to look back through my records to see, and my costs to see what I've spent on maintaining the property and how easy were you to work with and how well did you pay rent. And the better the response is to each of those things, I'm going to minimize the amount of rent that I increase. You're setting expectations on the front end, and that goes a long way with people. The other thing I do is I put my term so that my leases automatically renew in the warm moving season, like think summer. And so like May, June, and July, or maybe even some April. And you kind of want to spread out your portfolio because you don't want them all coming due in the same one.
Right.
So if I rent a house now in December to somebody, it's going to auto renew late in that season, probably like July 1st.
Okay.
And so it'll be shy. I'll still give them an annual rate. But the reason I want it to be a little short is so that if I raise their rent, it's before I do single family homes. And so people want to move before kids start school back. But it's not just, most people like moving during the summer.
So you don't do renewals in the bad months because it really screws both people up.
It's very hard. If you get a property back on the market to rent, beginning after school starts and certainly into the fourth quarter, it's the hardest time to rent a property. During the holidays, nobody's moving unless they have to. And so the amount of people looking to rent is very low. And so you'll end up lowering your rental rate because there's not much demand. I'm strategic about this to say, when it's moving season, I want to get all my stuff wrapped up in those times. You can also get summer helpers, summer work, for people fixing up things and painting outside and all that kind of labor. It's harder to do some of those things when it's colder as well.
So that brings me to an add-on question to this.
Yeah.
Is since some of mine I have set up after the first year to auto-renew for 6 months at a time.
Okay.
I don't do the month-to-month anymore.
Okay.
That's what the old ones were.
Yep.
Where it auto-renews and I actually have two now that will auto-renew in the December-January window, which actually makes them less likely to not renew at that point because that's a terrible time.
That's true.
So they're more likely to at least tack on another 6 months, which puts us in the right window.
That's true.
So that works out for me, even though it looks like I'm giving them a shorter window to work with. It's landing, at least for these two, it's landing in a really bad part of the year, which is my advantage.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
If they take you up on that, then you've got the difficult part of trying to find another renter. So you can see how that goes for a while.
It's 1.5 dozen.
And you're moving from 30 days to 6 months. So that's probably a change for you, which is a nice, midway point.
Yeah. 30 days is not enough notice for either party in this day and age with the things people accumulate and the issues with moving.
Yeah.
It's just 30 days. Long time ago.
And if you want to find out what market rate is, these days I like using Zillow Rental Property Manager. And so when you go on there to list your property, they have some great resources where you can look to see not only what people are charging for rent right around your area and comparable houses now, but it actually lets you look back to see what houses have been for rent over the last several months. Okay. And you can even click in them to look at the pictures so you can see how the finishings are relative to yours on the inside.
Okay.
And it only costs $29 to do that. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you can just look on Zillow to see what's available now. But there aren't as many available right now as there have been in the last 6 months or so.
As looking at the history.
Yeah.
I like that.
Great way to see what market rates are.
I actually used Zillow when I set this last one that I just rented about a month ago.
Excellent. Yeah. Did you pay or did you use the free version?
I used the free version the first time.
Yeah. And you're happy with it?
Oh, yeah. I was very happy.
Yeah. Very easy to use.
Rented for more than I expected.
Yes.
So that was a pleasant surprise.
And when you if you just go look at your property, it'll give you a zestimate of how much the house might be worth. It'll also give you a rental estimate. It's a little hard. Sometimes I have to search to find that one. What I have found, because my houses are a little nicer than average.
Yeah.
And so I get more rent than average. And so just kind of think about that. But a lot of people will be surprised, like you,
Yeah.
how much rent they can get.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time from people. So what I do when mine are coming up for renewal, I literally, because mine are grouped into about 4 different months,
Okay.
I'll have several different ones, during that particular month. I might have 5 or 10 in that month period. I'll do this little exercise. I got a spreadsheet, and I'll look at their rent I'm charging them relative to the value of the property and give me a percentage, and I'll look at their rent relative to what Zillow says that I should pay, and just take into those other considerations. I'll know in my mind, do I want to lease to these people again or not? Or do I want to risk that? And
I'm sure, like everyone, you've had someone that you couldn't wait for their lease to be up.
Yes.
To cut ties and say, sorry, it didn't work out, but we're done on this date.
Yep.
Just like the paper says, and you're done with them because you need to be.
You can give them a hefty, you can simply not renew their lease.
Yeah.
And give them a notification. Or you can give them a large increase to make it worth how much they're asking you to fix on their property, or how much the headache factor is.
Right.
And then really what you want to be at is an indifferent amount. If they pay an extra $500, okay, I'll go forward, and if they don't, I'm good either way.
Right.
So being indifferent, I think, is a nice place to be.
Right. I've only had one that just absolutely had to go. It was that simple.
I got you. I've not had a lot. I have some great tenants. I had a lady call me today. I can't tell you they thank me. It's great. It's just, they're really nice people out there. And those people, I minimize raising their rent. The good ones, you want to hang on to them as long as you can.
I got the worst compliment in the world because recently one of them thanked me for not having raised her rent in recent memory.
Oh, cool.
And this was sort of the stimulus for this, is that's when you realize that that's not a good compliment.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Oh, so on mine, I just simply send an email. I don't even call the people when it's a small amount. And so it's generally been about 2.99 to 4.99. And I'll usually kind of round down both on the percentage and certainly the number.
Right.
And so if it looks like it's going to be a $100 raise, I'll take it down to $95 or something like that. And if the rate
soften the edges
exactly,
a
kind of bring
bit.
it down to a palatable looking number, like everything is for sale at the store.
Right.
And then I remind them too in the email, I'll use the word, it's only going to increase this, and your rent's only going to be this much. And then I'll reiterate again, like I did when I signed the lease, you've been such a great tenant. You've done a great job. You've paid on time. You've taken great care of the property, and you've helped to minimize the maintenance expenses. So I reiterate those 3 things that are important to me in the email.
And it makes it sound more like a partner. That's good. Yeah. I like that.
And then, half of them don't even respond, and they just deposit it. Occasionally, people have responded this in recent history.
Yeah.
And they've said they want to talk. And you just kind of tell them about how your costs have actually increased. You remind them about how they're actually below market. And a couple of people have said, okay, I get it, but can you give me another month to prepare for this? You just kind of hit me near the end of the month. And I've been like, sure, no problem.
Right.
And then, people are pretty reasonable.
A delay, just not a change of heart.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's it. Good luck with this.
Well, thank you.
Let us know how it goes.
That's good info, and I feel a little bit better about approaching it.
Thanks for your time.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel if you would hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll know when the next video is out. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Oh, and by the way, although I'm a licensed CPA and I have 3 business degrees, I'm just a guy on YouTube, so be sure to contact your professionals before making any investment decisions. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.
Make sure to check out the rest of Jeremy's channel. It's helped us a ton.
IdentityGuard.com is now offering my subscribers a 33% discount on their services. See the link in the show notes below.